Hello, welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm delighted to have with me today special guest Wendy John. Wendy's a journalist, filmmaker, liver of life, and I'm blessed to count her a friend of mine. Hey, Wendy, how are you going?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Brett. I'm pretty excited to be here today doing this. I can't wait to see what the song is.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, if you're new to the channel, this song is all about using music and poetry to shed light on this adventure of life. I'm going to sing a song, and then Wendy and I are going to have a bit of a yarn, just kind of shoot the breeze, see what this song brings alive in us, and yeah. I reckon I'll just get into it. Here we go. You can probably see from the background, I've shrunk myself down to a tiny size, broadcasting from the manger. Don't know how well you can see the detail. There's the famous family in the background. Here we are again, at the end of the year. Open up the Christmas box, bring out your hopes and fears, put up the Christmas lights and the Christmas tree, and in the bottom of the box, the Nativity. I love the wooden figures of the shepherd and the little lamb. Lord, shrink me down so I can join them. Hey, little wise men, you're chipped with wear and tear. Can I kneel with you and say my little prayer? May there be room for the pilgrim in the stable, for the hungry, a place at the table, for saints and sinners, a page in the fable, and for the newly born, space in the cradle. Christmas brings memories of fresh pine and magic light, an old sadness, echoes from awful fights, grief and longing and possibilities. What could be born in this nativity scene? Oh, Lord, teleport me to this magical place. I wanna look up into Mary's loving face. I wanna be held by Joseph's loving arms, curl up in the cradle, safe from harm. May there be room for the pilgrim in the stable, for the hungry, a place at the table, for saints and sinners, a page in the fable, and for the newly born, space in the cradle. Jesus, can you hear me? Or are you just a figurine? Do you live beyond this, a little toy nativity scene? Bless the children to whom you are tending, and bless all us adults who are really just kids pretending. Oh, bless the winners who at the end of the year stand tall. Bless the losers who across the finish line crawl. Bless the brave who are signed up for the long haul. Bless every one of us. Bless us one and all. May there be room for the pilgrim in the stable, for the hungry, a place at the table, for saints and sinners, a page in the fable, and for the newly born, a place, a space in the cradle.
Your songs often do that for me. It's like at some point, maybe about 2/3 through, I have this, like, I don't know, it's a release or I don't know, recognition or something like that.
A
Yeah.
release of what?
I don't know. I think that, or maybe a recognition of getting back to some of the realities, getting back to some of the realities of, like, you're talking about this being life being a journey, and the realities that grief and longing coincide are alongside possibilities as well. And sometimes one gets clouded over by the other, and or sometimes when there's strong emotion or a lot going on, it's hard to see the possibility, but it's there. And just to realize that again is I think a bit of a weight off the shoulders, or a remembering, a realization. I think, yeah. And that's why these are, I love ritual. I love the different stages throughout the year. Whatever belief system or world religion that you might ascribe to, I love that there's these signposts throughout the year that allow us to go, okay, stop, reflect, ponder.
Yeah, me too.
And I think, yeah, so it's kind of like that, I guess.
Yeah, I guess maybe I might call myself a closet Christian. So maybe one foot out the door. I think
Yeah.
I think I'm coming out of my agnostic phase, but yeah, like you said, like whatever religion you identify with or not, there's something in the symbols of these different rituals that I think are quite universal. And whatever phase of life I've gone through, whether it's been, Christian or the church of not being Christian, I went through that for a while as well. But
Yeah.
but all through those stages, I have always been interested in the symbols, and I'm glad you mentioned that duality. That there's that line about Christmas brings memories of fresh pine and magic light, and old sadness, the memories of awful fights, grief and longing.
Yeah.
And, there's such a duality there. I do have almost sort of grew along with my bones this real magic and beauty with Christmas, and then also associations that are quite painful, and then stack on a few years or decades and of life experience, and I get so much richness and beauty that's from various memories and thinking about it and prayer, and then still those old wounds, and Christmas seems to be able to hold it all. Well, that's what I love about the Christian outlook, the idea of holding that God is somehow present in all of this.
Yeah. The grief and the longing, because I, of course, like many people, I have Christmas memories that were just like, oh no. And particularly, as the child, when you're trapped in the family home, or you're trapped in that arrangement that you don't have the agency to escape. Not that you want to, but at times you'd need reprieve from. And when there's been a big blow up at Christmas or something like that, alongside other really happy memories, but it's like the grief there. But that's the thing that also, as now I've finally accepted that word called midlife. That was kind of like a little bit like, hang on, surely not. I'm too young for that. That was a real grapple of a year. Last year was my kind of midlife. Okay.
Right.
Now that I'm really at that point where I'm leaning into this, 51 years, I'm leaning into this the riches of midlife that allow me to look back and go, do you know what? Yeah, there have been griefs, but with every grief afterwards, there is that inevitable spring, that inevitable summer, that inevitable possibility, that inevitable happiness. I think the richness of midlife enables me to look back and go, it's like this. There's grief, but there's always light. There's light, and yes, there's grief, but there's always light. And there's grief, but there's always light. And it's like, wow, there's something, maybe that's something that, and that's something that youth, with their beauty and the of beauty of zest of life and their youngness, they can't yet see. And so when there is a grief, it just seems like that's all that there's going to ever be. But when you have this blessing of being older, this richness of midlife, you can look back and go, no, it's going to be okay. And that's, it comes back to those rituals. It's like the birth, whether there actually was a birth or not. The notion of a birth of a baby, there's nothing more full of possibility and newness than a baby. And that's every year for us to remember that brings that possibility back again, despite everything else or amidst everything else going on. That's why I like ritual. It's a signpost. It's going to be okay. Something else can happen now.
It's that what could be born in that nativity. Yeah, it's such a powerful symbol of hope and what, and life. I feel, I resonate with what you're saying. It seems to be these cycles of times where, I don't know, the life we have, even if it's wonderful, becomes a kind of potential prison for the new life that wants to come through. But we find our way through. Well, and I suppose, or perhaps that's the other beautiful and edgy thing, that maybe there aren't guarantees, but in some people, sadly, lives go down some very dark roads, or circumstances, hurl unimaginable sorrow and horror at people. And yet constantly we see the potential of renewal and finding our way. And so such a delicious paradox and a real mystery for me, ultimately, which is another reason. That's why I like ritual, because it's a space that, whilst it has some rational components to it and order, it points to something beyond the rational. And I feel held in that when whether it's carols by candlelight or a more formal church service or a walk through a forest, whatever it is, there's these times where I just kind of slip out from under the constraint of the rational mind, and I feel something hard to grasp, but very beautiful.
I've a friend of mine who I admire immensely, one of the most fully self-actualized human beings I know, and I go to them for solace and advice at times, as well as celebration and joy. Anyway, they've been sober for a number of years, and a part of what they speak about is handing over, always constantly knowing that they need to hand over to the higher power, whatever that higher power is. And that notion of, this is too much for me right now, and to hand it over. Or to acknowledge that whatever I can grapple with in my rational mind, sometimes that's a trap as well. I'm trying to work it out. I'm trying to find the solution. If I try harder, I'll just to be able to go, no, hand it over, leave it up there, whatever that there is. And to, and it's interesting, because I'm making a short film at the moment.
Yes, that's very exciting.
It's super exciting. It's amazing. God, the learning in all of that is just wonderful. And I'm just having this reflection in the evening, or a time of prayer, or a time of, like, I'm like you, I'm kind of like a 1 foot out of the closet. I think I'm past that agnostic stage. Like, I was had a very strong religious faith early and then in my life, and that was very important and formative. And then there are many parts of that didn't align with what my true values were, also in terms of feminism and equality, marriage equality, and and other ways as well. And I guess I needed to grow up in myself, and then sort of coming around. And I consider myself a follower of Christ. So whether there's that, how much the dogma and the impacts it is, that's for other people to decide. But for me, I see that, and so to be able to have a bit of time, I'm trying to remind myself to have a time of just that prayer and reflection, and to the creator spirit, whatever that is. And handing over that, I'm just saying, guide me in my filmmaking, just let the creativity that spawned the universe is in all of us, and let that in some way spark up a little in this tiny little baby film that I'm a part of creating, and I guess there's something in that, just leaning back and going, it'll be what it'll be, and I don't know, inspire. But I want to pick up on something else that you said earlier. It's like sometimes, like, yes, for me, I am incredibly blessed that when there are griefs, there is light at the end of that, and that for some people there ain't no light. There is just one bit of bad luck after another, and that is a space where sometimes there feels like there's no possibility. But I think that's where, I don't know, Brett, maybe that's where those of us who do have possibility, and who do have privilege, and who do have the advantage of waking up clothed in our right mind each day, that's where when we've got to give, that's when we got to give, because not everyone has that. And
oh gosh, I mean, you've put so many very beautiful things on the table, and very rich, multi-dimensional things there. That's one of the things about Christianity, other religions too, but it's Christmas time, so and that's what this song's about, so I kind of focus on that. But that some of the, I think, well, you mentioned there's the shadow side of any kind of religion, and I think it's well recognised when religions get institutionalised, and just what manner of evil can be done in the name of good. I think that was part of why I turned my back on it for a while. It was that, I think, a necessary phase of kind of calling to account and going, hey, so much bad has been done, by the church, And that's very important to name. But of course, in a way, there was my own ego. I got stuck in that because I became superior in my
I did too.
In my rejection and judgment and damnation of the institution, and and that's fine. But then I remember at one party, singing along to John Lennon's "Imagine." Imagine there's no heaven, and no religion too, and it was kind of the hymn of the atheist. Not that I think he wrote it that way. I've got no idea what he wrote it for, but it was kind of like that phase of, I'm so superior because I'm liberated from this old, superstition, and and that's kind of fair enough. But then a couple of things dropped into my mind. One is I kind of had a bit of a look into communism and realised just what God all manner of horrors got visited upon the world by that system that rejected, it was gonna have utopia on earth. Now we've got rid of that repressive religion, and of course it just did its own kind of horror and repression. And that I had a bit of an aha moment and went, right, yes, horror and violence is not exclusive to any one kind of system. It's runs through the heart of all humankind. And ironically, one of Jesus's messages was a great challenge to the institutionalized power. And
oh my God,
and so
that's what I like. I like the the social radical that many of these prophets of great religions were, really pushing down the institutions of power and prestige and all of those things that we hold to be of value: power, money, glamour, fame. It's sort of like, I love the prophets from whatever worldview they are. They're sort of like saying that's a load of crap. That's not where it's at. It's not what fills the heart. It's not what sustains a good life. a happy life. Yeah, I've just got to actually, speaking of life, turn on the power
That's a good
to my
idea.
phone. Otherwise, I'm going to drop it off.
Otherwise, it'll be Easter. It'll be more the death and
The death and the resurrection.
and then
That's it.
the resurrection of the computer
That's
through the
right.
power. Well done. So, gosh, we've covered a lot of ground. I love talking with you. It's just like we just go right,
It's so
just
fun.
right in there.
Exactly.
And,
No, we don't. Totally. Mucking around. Go straight
mucking
in there.
around into the depth. Yeah.
It's interesting, like being a parent at this time of year too, and trying to introduce those concepts of, I don't know, what is Christmas, and there's so much joy that there's so much joy that secular Christmas is, and I love that, and I think there's such a blessing in that, and I see that.
What kind of things?
The beauty in that. Just the street lights, people, and I know this is a very American thing, and it's starting in Australia.
I love it.
Many parts.
I love it.
When you go, do you feel this like great community spirit?
Yeah, I love it.
This spirit, like people are just in awe and going, wow, and you see, and the kids, not just the kids, me too, like, wow, and that sense of wow, that sense of wonder, and then the whole community is coming out and they're walking around and people will just start chatting to strangers. I love that. That's like my friend and Michelle and I used to joke, it's that great community spirit I thrive on, I love that. And that's something and I do love gift giving.
Yeah,
me
too.
When it's detached from like the excessive, hundreds and hundreds of dollars to when it's thoughtful, mindful. I love buying someone a gift that I know that they'll open and then they'll go, oh, thanks, it's great. I love that thoughtful, oh, this is going to just be, I'm going to be tickled pink when I see them open it. Yeah. I love that. And of course, I love getting a lovely gift myself. And
we've been stocking the like putting the presents under the tree gradually, like putting them around. We went out and got a Christmas tree last weekend. Went out to the Christmas tree farm. Classic old Aussie wizened, grizzled, guy from the land with his chainsaw, sitting on his tractor, waiting for us to choose one. We were waiting for the arguments to be over about which one to have. He's just sitting there. Yeah, this one. Oh no, hang on a second. We have to talk about it tomorrow. Finally, chops down, put it in the car.
Cut it down, and you select a living tree, and
select it. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
It's brutal about that, really.
It's great. And there's just Christmas trees everywhere. They've already got little Bubba Christmas trees planted that'll be ready in 5 years' time for the next Christmas.
It's so great.
Yeah.
But don't you love like Australian Christmas trees? Well, I think they've got new variants in now, but it used to be a fine Australian Christmas pine tree. It's like this mangy looking, like a poor old a chook with like a feather disease and half the feathers are plucked out. But everyone's like, oh, I got a live Christmas tree. And then you look on TV and they've got these massive big fir trees that look like, perfection. And they've just ripped it out of the forest somewhere.
Yeah, well,
I'd love to go to North America for Christmas.
For snow and...
I think, the Rocky Mountains, just be up there, around there somewhere.
Yeah.
For the snow and white Christmas.
Yeah, a lot of beauty. A lot of beauty.
See, that's all that wonderful, joyful stuff. And I guess that's the challenge, is to be present to the joy and the wonder, and not let the other stuff like that tidal wave of, oh my gosh, how much money have we spent? Being mindful of that and not letting that overwhelm that, and to be, pulling back and being more thoughtful about, what I buy in terms of just, I need to fill this stocking. And then it becomes something that's more treasured. I know.
I'm just sort of getting the duality again of it, and this is again the symbol of the Christ child for me. I put aside the whole supernatural aspect of it, which
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm quite open to actually, but I'm not particularly needing to convince anyone of it. But put that aside, and you're just left with this kind of symbol of like how amazing is it, the idea of God being born in the human flesh. So
Yeah, yeah.
the divine and the human, and that's what I love about the symbology of this. And if I really bring that into the here and now and my life and the world around me, I see we are both. I see I'm both. I see the politicians, the influencers, the everyone everyone out there.
The billionaire.
We're like there's still divine spark, and we see this godlike nature arise, and the beauty and the values. Those values that you mentioned earlier that in various places and times kind of get surfaced or resuscitated, and then they get systemized into policy, and that's an extraordinary thing. That this movement toward good, and that's the divine, and then there's the flesh part of it. There's the human being, which is we're all kind of messed up, and the world's pretty messed up, and there's corruption of and all kinds of distortion, and in the day to day, it's like you said, it's the grasping, it's the presence, and the is there what's happening around the Christmas table and all that, and I just feel the poignancy of that paradox, and
Yeah. But you've always been able to, I think, put your finger on that for the, I don't know, 10 plus years that I've known you, joyfully. You always seem to be able to get that, be able to put your finger in both the I don't know, the yin and the yang, the dark and the light, the pain and the joy, and hold them together. And there's a gentleness and a power in that, I think, as well. But whereas I'll be like, oh no, that's happy, joy. It's like, no, come on, okay, hold them both, hold it gently, and that's where the centeredness is, I guess.
Oh, thank you.
I think, yeah. I don't know, maybe it's, and this is with, like you say, putting the divinity aside, because that's not proven, but I guess reasonable accounts of history would suggest that a person of importance was born, or that Jesus was a political radical who was not very popular by the powers that be, and got hung up on a cross. That kind of
and within
that kind of story,
within like 30 years was an extraordinary movement. Then within a couple more 100 years was a primary. I think historically there is an interesting
historically, if we just
case.
Look at that apart from anything religious, I kind of the idea that a baby being born, most people can relate to how amazing that is, and what possibility there is in that. And I guess most people can relate to the idea of being frustrated at the corruption and the of different systems, and the control of consumerism, control of capitalism, control of people who do bad things or just don't do good things when they have the power to. That frustration, and can probably relate to the idea of a radical movement coming along and saying that is not okay. That's not where it's at. So, I think there's something in that. For me, anyway. Yeah.
Can I jump in? Because that's, I think, what's so kind of radical and maybe different from cycles of violence that we see throughout history, of the radical movement that well-meaning and then forces its utopian vision on others through violence, and round it goes. But I think what's so striking about the Jesus story is that when they come to get him, and this is more the Easter story, I suppose, but when they come to get him and the disciples pull out the swords, Jesus goes, "I put down your sword." And so there's something extraordinary in the possibility of non-violence. I think in this story, it says actually,
like personally, I'd be like, yeah, get the sword out of here.
yeah,
Defend, fight.
absolutely.
So, yeah,
Let's go full Rambo or whatever. It's like
exactly. Time I had band on.
So what a concept, this idea of going willingly and somehow knowing, or I don't know, there's something being played out there that through the being brought low, the willingly going, I'm not going to play that game, and that actually turning out to be the most extraordinarily powerful impact on the world, this concept. But well, I'm kind of feeling like might be time to wrap up. How are you feeling? You got anything else that's alive in you that you want? Yeah.
I don't think so. I think I just like that you wrote the song. I like that you wrote. So, yeah, thank you. That anything to help me reflect more, and it's something I want to try and do more, thinking about the new year. And I kind of say this every few years. I want to have a more, a more spiritually reflective life, and not one that's necessarily attached, like we've discussed, to any doctrine, but one that makes me reflect on who I'm being in this world and where I'm at, and holding both of those, all of me gently in that. It's that mystery. It's that mystery stuff. So thank you for writing that song, and
you're welcome.
And the reflection.
Well, I'll just finish.
I actually have one last little story to share.
Oh, beautiful! Please.
And it did pop into my head when with the nativity scene as you were singing. One last one.
Please.
I just remember a feeling once when I was a child. I don't know, maybe 10 or 11 years old, and it was Christmas time. It was one of those few evenings before Christmas. And I used to live in an area that was just surrounded by bushland on the outskirts of Brisbane, and no street lights. It was a dead end dirt road, and we could hear the cicadas and frogs at night, and beautiful mopokes, and we'd always see the stars. And I remember being outside when it was one of these evenings close to Christmas Eve, and seeing all the stars. And I was thinking about the Christmas story that I'd, of course, been taught for many years. And I had this incredible feeling, this overwhelming sort of sense, this feeling like I was there in the meadows with the shepherds when when, according to the Christmas story, the angels and all the glory of the Lord appeared and sang and said, "Don't be afraid." And I had that sense of this profound sense of wonder and awe, and wow, something really big has been happening, Today in this city of David there's born a child, and it was just magic. And I've never been able to get back there, but I remember the feeling, I always wish I could insert myself back there, but it was this, I've had that sense, that one moment in time of memory, and I hold to that and I bring it out every Christmas.
Well, as you speak of it, you light up as you speak of it, and it lives within you and is expressed through you. It's beautiful. I remember looking in the Christmas windows, the little toy shop, magic toy shops, and little nativity scenes. That's what brought the song to life. Is this? I always wanted to just kind of get shrunk down and go in there, and so.
And now you are. Look at you.
Here I am. I did it finally.
Hope you come out okay the other side. Maybe you get really stretched like the TV guy in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You'll be even taller and thinner.
I'll just stay there. I'll just wander around and be a shepherd. Well, thanks, Wendy. Thanks so much for joining us, and thanks to you viewers for tuning in. I'll just finish with a little prayer for all of us. May there be room for the pilgrim in the stable, For the hungry, a place at the table. For all our saints and all our sinners, a place in the fable. And for the newly born, which is all of us potentially, space in the cradle. This will be my last video before Christmas, so watchers, listeners, thank you so much for supporting the channel, and yeah, may you be held in the cradle of love this Christmas. And I'll see you next time. Bye. See you, Wendy.